Ancient sacred texts from the East speak of a reality far stranger than the one taught in modern classrooms. According to early Vedic cosmology, the universe is not inhabited by a single intelligent species, but by hundreds of thousands of humanoid forms, each existing at different stages of development, decline, or transformation. This raises a disturbing question. Was Earth ever the exclusive domain of modern humanity? Or did our planet once host multiple intelligent civilizations? Now dismissed as myth, legend, or superstition. Ancient sources did not merely hint at such beings. They categorized them. Some were described as evolving alongside humans, while others represented degenerative branches of life, beings that resembled humans closely but belonged to what were called lower worlds. These entities appear repeatedly in folklore as revenants, forest dwellers, or the undead, yet always with an unsettlingly human form. Rather than speculating, ancient chroniclers relied on what they believed were factual records. Medieval manuscripts, used not for entertainment, but for education, preserved these accounts. In particular, the instructional chronicles prepared for royal heirs in medieval Europe and Russia offer a radically different view of history. These were not fairy tales. They were encyclopedias of accepted knowledge, designed to shape the worldview of future rulers. Within these texts, the famous campaigns of Alexander the Great are described in detail. But the world Alexander encountered was not limited to human kingdoms alone. According to these records, his armies faced not only foreign soldiers, but other forms of intelligent life, beings with unfamiliar anatomy, immense strength, and organized societies. These encounters were not written as metaphors or allegories. They were described as military conflicts, recorded calmly and without surprise. One such group was the Cyclopes, giants said to possess a single eye centered in the forehead. Far from poetic fantasy, medieval chroniclers treated them as a real people, complete with territories and rulers. Their presence appears not only in Slavic sources, but also in Western European educational texts used for centuries. Ancient Roman scholars, including Pliny the Elder, listed such beings alongside known African tribes in works of natural history. Medieval and early modern maps continued to mark their supposed habitats for over 2 millennia. These were not marginal illustrations, they were geographic labels, treated as factual data. Modern science attempts to explain these reports by pointing to rare congenital conditions such as cyclopia. But such medical anomalies cannot account for entire populations, kingdoms, or armies. A lethal mutation cannot sustain a civilization. And cyclopes were only one example. Centaurs. Beings combining human and animal forms appear consistently across cultures. They are found not only in Greek art, but in Christian manuscripts, temple carvings, and sacred books. Medieval monks described meeting such creatures during their travels, conversing with them as intelligent beings rather than monsters. Church architecture across Europe and Russia preserved their images openly, carved beside saints in biblical scenes. If these figures were considered heretical or fictional, they would have been destroyed. Instead, they remained silent witnesses to a forgotten worldview. Similar beings appear in Chinese burial textiles, Roman frescoes, and early cosmographies describing distant lands. From Europe to Asia, from Africa to the newly charted Americas, ancient maps depicted a world crowded with diverse intelligent forms. Among these were dog-headed peoples, large-eared tribes who used their own anatomy as shelter, and forest giants covered in hair, figures we now associate with legends like Bigfoot or the Yeti. Medieval texts describe them not as elusive mysteries, but as neighboring populations encountered, fought, or traded with. This overwhelming consistency presents a dilemma. Either countless civilizations across thousands of years shared the same elaborate hallucination, or our understanding of Earth's past is incomplete. Ancient Mesopotamian artifacts may offer a clue. Figurines from early Sumer depict humanoid beings with reptilian features, shown in ordinary domestic scenes. These are not images of gods receiving worship, but depictions of daily life. Some ancient texts, when read literally rather than symbolically, describe processes resembling genetic experimentation, hybridization, modification, and artificial creation of life. Similar themes appear in early Indian, Egyptian, and Near Eastern traditions. According to these sources, Earth may once have been a testing ground where different biological forms were created, adapted, and released into the environment. If true, their disappearance was not sudden. Over time, these beings may have declined, vanished, or merged with humanity itself, leaving subtle traces behind. Modern biology still struggles to explain certain anomalies in human genetics and blood compatibility. While mainstream science offers partial explanations, ancient traditions interpreted these differences as remnants of a far older and more complex biological history. What if the myths were not invented, but inherited memories, fragmented and misunderstood? By the 17th and 18th centuries, this entire worldview vanished from official history. Maps were redrawn. Texts were reclassified as fantasy. What was once accepted knowledge became folklore. Perhaps forgetting was easier than confronting the possibility that humanity was never alone. The past does not disappear, it dissolves into tradition, culture, and even our own bodies. To study forbidden history is not to abandon reason, but to question the boundaries of what we call knowledge. The archives are silent now, but they were never empty.